Get my glasses on so I can see back there. Are we on? We are on. Good evening, everyone. It is September 8th, 2025. It is the regular session of the Mercer County Board of Education. It is just shortly after 6 p.m. All board members are present along with the superintendent. So let's have the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. The flag keeps moving around because we can't figure out the best place to put it.
Right.
Okay, so we have them up, then we moved them back. And so we're sorry if anybody's blocked, but we're going to figure it out. All right. So we got some recognitions, the best part of always of our board meetings. So if the board members will come out here and the superintendent will acknowledge some students who are doing awesome things.
Mr. Atkins, you got it, Dr. Atkins?
Okay, as President Brutish said, it's always our favorite part of every board meeting. We have the opportunity to recognize our staff or students for excellence. And the award that we are going to recognize this evening is Certificate of Achievement for a Perfect Score on the West Virginia Summative Assessment. We are proud to recognize perfect score West Virginia on the writing part. Yes, I'm reading, Amy. Yep, on the writing. Yes, we are proud to recognize the outstanding achievement of the following students who attained a perfect score on the writing portion of the West Virginia Summative Assessment. Strong writing skills are essential for success in school and beyond. They sharpen critical thinking, strengthen communication, and provide a foundation for future opportunities. These students exemplify the power of clear, effective expression, and we commend their dedication and accomplishment. So we have 4 students that were at Athens Elementary last year, and they're now at Pikeview Middle. And if they can come up now, we have Hudson Adams, Sammy Butler, Elida Arguello, and Eliza Byers.
Everybody in the state
Okay, we also have for a perfect score on the writing portion of the West Virginia Summative Assessment for Mercer Elementary School, Emery Besnier.
Listen, I talked to Dad earlier today. He's like, yes, we're coming. We're so excited. And then I just told him, hey, what's happening? Make smart choices. He is home with a headache. It's okay, but Emory is incredible. He was just a couple points away from having a perfect score. Can't say completely, which is incredible. He's an awesome person. We're proud of him. I got it.
Okay, next we have students from Mountain Valley Elementary that are now at Bluefield Middle School. Summer James, Zoe Brown, and Haley Ely.
Same question, not opposite. Do you like writing and are you good at it? But, do you remember what you wrote about, either of you? I know it's been a long time, I understand. Summer Hayes on over right here. That's all right, we're just glad that you did a great job. Yeah. Obviously, you're smart and you work hard. Your writing's a trip, it's not easy even for smart people, but we're real proud of you guys and keep it up, all right?
Okay, our next group for a perfect score on the writing assessment is from Melrose Elementary and now at Princeton Middle School. We have Addison Sarver, Eden Novinsky, Tegan Fuller, Jacqueline Suttereth, and Madison Deskins.
We're still proud of you. Still excited for them. We're good? All right, folks, I'll tell you the same thing I always say at this point. You are welcome to stay. You're more than happy to stay, but if you're going to leave, now's the time to go. We'll take about a 3-minute recess. They never stay.
I mean, wonder why. How much in their microphone?
I've got Amanda Aliff, the 5-minute thing on
The girl in the,
that gaggle, the coffin.
Yeah.
The what?
The suicide.
one of my golfing tournaments.
Oh, really?
Granddaughter.
It's pretty
Oh,
good.
okay.
But,
Oh, that's
I've
neat.
got her, we'll do that her after Jess.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
And then we're going to do your LSIC training that you're required by the state right here. It's 10 minutes to show you the slide. We're going to play it, and then it'll be on our board minutes. So you got training
Oh,
on all 5 board members.
Good deal.
How's that? That'll be under 23, 22.
Just like that training we got at the state.
Jessica, we'll get
Folks, have a good evening. Thank you all for coming. Okay. All right. We are at the point in the meeting where we discuss the superintendent's opening remarks.
And I'll go with the presentation by Mrs. Souders. We'll do that now, and then after we're done with these presentations, I'll go through mine, if that'll work that way. Present.
That's fine with
I
me.
got Jessica Souders from Princeton Senior High School. with the social studies standards that she presented. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Do you need microphone?
We need to be mic'd because of the streaming.
For the folks at home.
That's right.
That's scary. And where? I thought you said and at the state parks. I was like, yes. The state parks. So I'm going to present on the social studies rollouts, the West Virginia social studies rollouts. And I will start by saying that this was kind of a shock when we went up there. There were two different ones. There was one in the northern part of the state and then one in Charleston over the summer. And I was at the one in Charleston, which was second. And the social studies rollout plan, we had kind of felt like when we were going up there that they were going to ask for us to comment on the standards that they were working on and to look at them and dissect them and figure out how they would work best at our schools. But after we went up there, you'll see that it was kind of just the first 5 minutes were about the actual standards, and the next 3 days were about how we should change what we're doing in our classroom to make sure that we're instituting inquiry-based design modules. I'm a social studies teacher. I teach everything right now. I teach honors world history, APUSH, and psychology. And it did not highlight a lot of the changes, but rather collective goals. So some of the social studies indicators that it wanted to push: developing questions through investigations, applying disciplinary concepts and tools, evaluating evidence, and communicating results, and taking action. So when we see these, when you see those buzzwords, those of you, a lot of you all were teachers, those buzzwords kind of tell us that they want projects. They want students to do something with the information. And one of the things that they want us to do is to use that inquiry-based design, which I'm going to kind of explain in a minute. And that there are common themes. Yes, there's a civics course. Yes, there's an economics course. Yes, there are geography courses. But every social studies classroom should be talking about these themes. Every social studies classroom should mention government. Every social studies classroom should mention economics, geography, and then, of course, implement literacy education. Now, my main focus was on world studies. We had someone else go up from the high school, and his focus was on civics. And he said that nothing really changed in the civics standards, but in world studies, and I know Mr. Hodges is probably going to feel my pain on this, there was a big change. No prehistory, no agricultural revolution, no River Valley civilization. So part of the reason why this kind of stabbed me in my heart is we all have, as teachers, like jaw-dropping moments in the classroom where our kids are like, no way. And mine is when I show them this virtual autopsy on King Tut, and the findings are that King Tut is the actual like son of his mother and her brother. And everybody's like, what? No way. And then it's like, we just figured this out now. And so that's one of my jaw-dropping moments, but now that is cut. They want us to start with classical civilizations, and actually classical civilizations through World War I. So Greece and Rome through like getting to modern history. Yeah, I heard that. Ooh, yeah, me too. I'm so sorry, I should not admit this, but I'm probably not going to get to World War I, but I will try my hardest. And all that was done in 5 minutes. So we went to a social studies standard training, and within the first 5 minutes, that's all they talked about, standards. The big thing that they wanted to impress upon us was that they are creating this kind of hodgepodge of inquiry design lessons. And in these inquiry design lessons, they want us to focus on how students can implement that information, which was great for me, because that's my big thing. I'm not much of a book teacher. They get the facts, they get the information, but then we always have to do something with it, because that's when you pull kids in. So I was all about this. Now, some people in the room did not come back after lunch. I will admit that. I was not one of those people, because I was in it, man. I love this. This inquiry design
here's what it kind of looks like. And this is not, I'm going to go forward one and go back. This is about creating well-planned units. Kind of like backward design, bless you, kind of like backward design mixed with student-centered learning, pulling those two together, and then developing your lesson, your goal, your units, and then going back and starting with your lectures. So these are not going to be lesson plans that you can leave for a sub. These are not daily layouts, but at the end of every unit, they suggested maybe 4, starting with 4, maybe 5 in a school year. They kind of want to do this. So you give them your information, you teach lecture-based or however you teach, student-centered, them exploring and finding the information, and then you have a big unit at the end that's maybe a week long, maybe a week and a half, and you have this overall milestone question. Their goal was for us to develop them, and they're supposed to be on the state website at some point in time where teachers can pull from them. The one that I created was the fall of Rome inevitable? And with this, you start with the hook, something cool, something to get the kids interested. And my question, and I have like copies of mine that I will leave with you all if you all are interested up here. My hook question was, could the collapse of One Direction have been prevented, or was it inevitable? And I've already changed this. I'm going to say, could the fallout between Kendrick Lamar and Drake have been prevented? Why or why not? So it's always changing. You're always manipulating it. And then it goes into expert question, expert task. Those are very much give them the information, and then they regurgitate it to you. Apprentice question, apprentice task. That's maybe you give them some information and they have some autonomy about what they create. And then expert question, expert task, they're doing the research, they're creating a product. And then that milestone question. The milestone question is the unit question, which takes you back to the overall question. Was the fall of Rome inevitable? And for me, my milestone question was answered with an essay and with a rubric that I had Magic School AI create for me. And then going forward, the extension activity is them doing something with it. In this instance, when I looked at my extension activity, it was students creating a debate and time traveling. What would they have done to stop the fall of Rome? And then the taking informed action, which is my favorite part of this, because this seems like a lot. You can't do this every day. I could not do this with every lesson. When I get to Rome, I'll be implementing my first one. You can pull bits and pieces of this instead of making it this big long unit. But the biggest part, the taking informed action, is what they really want us to impress upon our students. And this one I'm really excited about. Their action is to create a survival plan to help their modern day entity avoid a fall and overcome those challenges, drawing evidence from the themes of Rome's fall, including political, economic, societal, and military. So they are going to create a survival plan for something that they are fearful about in this world, something that they want changed. They create the survival plan, and then in groups, so they'll do that independently. In groups, they choose one to support, and then they'll write a letter to some local entity or state entity that they feel like can make a difference in it. So that's the taking informed action portion of it. And like I said, this is not for every day. This is a unit thing at the end. The goal of this training was really to create a library of units for teachers to use in their own classes that had this inquiry design module. And just a few cool connections to our Gear Up speaker that I noticed before this summer. I had never really spent time looking at John Hattie's effect size, but both at the standards training and when we had our pull-out session with him, they really looked at John Hattie and how you have to be cognizant of how you are reaching students. It's not just about giving them the information and having them do something with it. They have to be engaged, and you have to know what works. And so the John Hattie effect size for the inquiry-based module is very, very high. And of course, there are other things that you can do with it, and then you are more likely to implement those things into your everyday teaching. And then also knowing your profession. This is a profession. It was mentioned when we were up there at the standards training and at the West pull-out classes, and then planning with a purpose. There has to be a goal. Okay, but my best takeaway from it was this Magic School AI. Magic School AI is a really cool tool, and I have the free version now. I think that I will probably end up purchasing the actual version of it, and it kind of makes the teacher's life so much easier. I have 3 preps right now. Sometimes I've had 4. I have classes of 38 and 36. And so it's very difficult for me to grade and to make plans for all of these classes, and it helps me. I literally could put in this PowerPoint in there, and it would make a guided reading to go along with it if I needed differentiation in the classroom. It creates rubrics. I have an example of that on the back. And it has some really cool engagement ideas. Like this is one that I put in there. I gave them the prompt. I told them the information I wanted them to include, and then it said, what's your student's interest? And I said, TikTok, of course. We are very rural, and they like funny things, and I'm not very funny, so I needed a little bit of help from Magic School AI. And here's what they came up with me: a meme creation contest. Activity hosts a meme creation contest focused on early civilizations, and they can create it on their own, or it even gave links for kids to do that. This Magic School AI is really cool. If you all haven't looked at it, I encourage you to look at it. It may or may not go.
What's it say?
That's okay. This is it, and it has very cool things with it. There's one where you can actually put in your lecture, and it makes a song about it. Yes, it is very, very cool. There's email responders. There's also like content and just, the extra things about teaching help. There's an IEP creator. There's ideas if you need to differentiate somewhere in here, and then multiple choice and test help. So that is my plug for things that I got from there, and I really appreciate you. That's all. I'm sure I went over on time, but I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Mrs. Aliff coming up to go over what we purchased this year, a support process, but I'll let her tell you more about it. And Mrs. Aliff, thank you.
All right, so I have a handout here that I want to share with you all. It also has a card
Thank you, ma'am.
that
Thank
we
you.
have been giving out to
Thank you.
students.
Get your microphone here so they can hear you out in the world.
Okay, so this, late in the spring, we started working on bringing this service to our county. It's called Reach Out. Mr. Tobin ran into someone at a conference, I think in Louisiana, and he brought this back to us, and when I saw it, I thought it was a fabulous idea, that it would work so well in our county and for our students. And so I really, really was excited about starting this program this year and what it could do. So Reach Out, if you're looking at your handout, it's a 24/7, 365 crisis support service for students. And while I feel like our students have great support at the school level with their counselors and social workers and teachers, principals, this being 365, 24 hours, 7 days a week has already shown to be very important. So we have this service all the time. It provides immediate access to trained crisis counselors who are experienced in youth health, risk assessment, and de-escalation. And there's several ways that students can use this. They have an icon on their computer that looks like this, and it's on the very back page of what I handed you. And they can click on that and immediately be put into contact with the counselor. So they, you know, if they're at home on the weekend, they can open up their computer and use it.
This is on all of our school laptops.
This is on all of our school laptops, and I worked with Brent, and he helped me to get that set up, and also,
Okay, I wasn't sure if you got it or
they, Reach Out sent us a
No,
lot of stuff.
I'll make sure you got it.
That we have in classrooms, we have in hallways, we have in bathrooms, we have on buses, we have them everywhere, but he was able to get the posters as a backdrop
Good deal.
on our computers. So the posters are there, the icon is there, the students can click on it anytime. They can also use their phones, they can text, and they can actually make a phone call and speak to a person one-on-one. So lots of ways to access this resource for them. Some of the issues addressed, stress and anxiety, grades, friendship, bullying, family issues, and safety concerns. And I've already talked a little bit about how we've gotten this out into the schools. I sent out scripts for teachers to use with their classes so that they could impart this information to students, what it is, where it is, how to access it, in a professional manner, because even teachers, this is new to them as well. So they're learning too. We are doing wellness Wednesdays in September for Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. And so I've incorporated a lot of the things into that, our Wellness Wednesdays. We have also done a lot of outreach. I know the principals are sick of my emails. I'm sending them all the time, but I'm doing my best to make sure that everybody has access to this and is aware, because I feel really passionate about it. I feel like it's very important. And one of the biggest reasons why is this next section. Reach Out sent us a spreadsheet of the calls that they have already gotten just since we started school, just since we started making students aware of this. And this is some data from what they sent us just from August. So we have had 73 total contacts. 16 were just attempted but not connected. 57 of our students connected with counselors. 22, there were full help sessions. The key concerns were physical abuse, which resulted in a CPS referral that went to CPS here in West Virginia. There were some sibling and family conflicts, academic stress, sadness, grief, loneliness. That particular student had lost her mother and really needed somebody to connect with. I was able to get in touch with the school, and they are on it. They are working with her to get her what she needs.
Tell them how you're getting notified and all that, or is that coming up? Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
No, Tell them how that works.
Okay, so what happens is if we have a student who, there's a very serious red flag type of issue, there are a couple of things that Reach Out is doing. One is we have a flow chart where it is spread out who gets the message. So if we have an elementary school student that has reached out and they're saying that they've been abused, we are going to get an alert from Reach Out to say, this student reported in at this time, this is what they're telling us, and this is how we dealt with it. And then we are able to pick up from there, which we've had 2 CPS referrals, we've had a hospitalization since this happened, or two hospitalizations since this happened, since we got this going. So we're able to follow up with students, even if it's something like the young lady whose mother had passed away and needed help. We were able to get that information and pass it along to the school to get her what she needed.
Does that come to you directly?
It comes to several of us.
Okay.
So we want to make sure nothing is.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we want to make sure nothing is missed. So, Mr.
They're not a
Chairman-
healthcare.
We're not healthcare providers.
Yeah, they're not a health. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're, yeah.
Now, wait, no. We're not healthcare advisors, but that is a good question. How are they relaying information to a third party.
I'll contact you and say, me and Jimmy's had an issue. If they'll have, I mean, some kind of privacy issue for the student as well as for their protection.
Well, if it is something that requires mandated
I was gonna say, it's
reporting,
supposed to be mandated,
they
mandated
report
reporting,
it.
yeah.
If it is something that we can, as a school system, help them with, we have a flow chart. Mr. Toman's on every single one of the flows. He gets every single alert. The elementary goes to Dr. Atkins, and then the secondary goes to Rosemary Mitchell. We also have Amber on there as well. Dr. Bowen, she's helping us to make sure that nothing is missed. And, here's our flow chart. And then I'm on every single one of the flows as well, so I get every single alert that comes through. I speak with Reach Out often, and so, we have a very good communication line, very open. They've been very helpful to help us work out some kinks and things like that, to make sure that we get all the information we need, where it needs to go as quickly as
Let me
possible.
ask it a different way.
Yeah.
And the way I want to ask it is, do they report everything to us or just the things that require reporting?
They report the things that require reporting.
Okay.
Required by who?
State
Well,
law,
if it is a
state law.
Yeah, if it's a mandated reporting situation, they have to report it
So an
back.
argument about my sibling, they may give us the information that that was one of the issues, but they don't talk to us about who that was.
Absolutely.
All right, now we're good. Okay.
Absolutely. Yes, so I have no idea who that child is. If
Right.
I
We-
have a problem with a sibling or somebody who has academic stress, I have.
We just get the
It's only,
data.
it's only
Yeah,
serious
just get the
issues,
data.
like if it was reported to a school counselor, they would be required to report it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do they know where, is it because it's on the school computers that they know?
No,
How to route?
they gather information typically from the student as they're working with them. So we've had, several that have we know that it's a secondary issue and, that they go to Princeton Middle School because of what they have divulged, not,
What if they're not giving up their information?
That's a great question, because we've had that also. So we were able to gather an IP address for that student,
Based on the computer
Based-
assignment?
and where they were at when they accessed it. So the IP address, and then they did this. They sent that, they called our local sheriff's department, and they sent that information to Stephen Summers, who can track IP addresses. So-
Because of the nature of the complaint.
Yes,
Yes.
concern, yes.
Yes.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
What
sense.
about, what do we do, are these students, regardless of whether they're primary or secondary, they're reaching out?
Mhm.
What if their parents don't want them doing it, or they get a phone call from CPS? How do you find out about this? Is there any legal recourse on Mercer County school system?
No.
It's the
No.
same thing as a phone number on TV that
A
says, call
988
this number
number.
if you're having a family crisis. And you call that number as a child and say, we're having a family crisis. There's no, that's just an offer of help. It's not mandated, it's not required.
Oh, I know. It's a lot of the same questions that we talked about.
Yeah, it makes
You know,
sense.
wanted you guys to be aware of this, when she presented it, we.
I think I had
We
seen-
approved it.
I think I've seen the Let's
I just
Talk.
wanted to- I just-
I've seen it. That's where I saw it. It's an app on my,
It is.
And you all
I may
approved
call
it,
it
I
this
think, early July, but, again, I wanted you to see the results and that
Right.
make it hit home exactly what it's
So
doing.
do we have to pay for this service?
Yes,
or-
ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah.
is it per,
A yearly subscription.
yearly
yeah.
subscription, okay.
Yeah. Was it under,
About $2 per student.
okay,
that's not bad.
yeah.
23,000?
So, just,
Well, the 23 also includes the Reach Out Pro,
Yeah, for council.
and so it's about 20,000 for the service of just regular Reach Out. And we also added a Reach Out Pro, which is a little bit different.
so sometimes in maybe late November, early December, you could report back to us and say, here's the new data, because
Oh,
we want to,
absolutely.
we'd love to
Do it
see
monthly if you
what's,
wanted. That's,
Yeah.
that's fine
It's good
too.
on
Yeah, they're
there.
gonna send us a monthly report, and like I
We
said,
would like
get
to see the
alerts
data.
from the very serious issues, but then we get the monthly report that has everything on it.
Okay, yeah, even if you just forward a report to
Yeah, but I
us,
mean,
or
yeah.
bring them, put them as
Just
part
a
of our
paper
packet or
report, yeah.
something.
It's good
Um,
on there.
you know, we have had, just issues with sadness, grief, and loneliness. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just there
Yeah.
in case they need it. So I feel like this is a real win for our students. And as time goes on, we will see the outcome.
Yeah.
Of them having somebody to.
I'm glad it's being utilized, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm thrilled. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled. And every day I get a little bit nervous if I see an alert, but at the same time, I'm thrilled to get it.
This went online first day of school or
It
before?
did. First day of
Okay,
school.
so
First
we're,
day of school.
We're
we've
not
got that
even a
many
month
contacts
in.
and we're
Yeah.
just a
That's
few weeks
August.
in.
That was just August.
That was just the first, that last week.
Yes, that was just August.
So we don't even know what's going on yet this month.
No, not yet.
Wow.
So,
Well, obviously the kids need it or they wouldn't be calling it.
agreed.
So this is primarily to the kids, right?
Yes,
And we were exposed to this,
just for parents.
so is that going to be pushed?
Well, that's, we're gonna talk about that, yeah.
Okay.
We're-
That is
it's-
actually-
She's got experience with it,
Yeah,
so,
I've
yeah.
got some experience with that as well, and it's on our website, yes. Yeah, so we have that available to parents. If you have any questions about this after the night, you wanna shoot me an email or Mr. Salmon an email, just let us know and hopefully we can answer them. I did put a little card on your copy that I gave you. Those cards are going out to every single student in our county. And it has the reach out, QR code on it, and then on the back, it has some other resources, including the parent guidance that, Mr. Godfrey was just mentioning. So the parent guidance is there, the Southern Highlands crisis line, the
Sure
741, 741, and 988 is on there as well.
So
And
these
so-
are cards that we produce.
For
That
what?
we produce these cards. Like, we made these cards.
Yeah,
to go out.
yeah, we made them and
They look
I
good.
sent them off to be printed
Yeah, they look
and
good.
every kid in the county should have one. And I know that it kind of seems like that maybe it's not the best thing for our lower grades, like K2, but even if a student has like a death of a grandparent, the parent can call with the
Mhm.
child and have a counselor there to help them work through some of those issues if needed. So it's useful for every student.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Then ready for mine?
And we're still waiting for your report. yeah.
You got it,
jumped
so-
You jumped ahead, you let them jump ahead. so.
Good, good. So just in my superintendent's opening remarks and update, in my packet that I gave you, you have the Mercer County Public Schools, the 5th and the ninth day enrollment numbers. Also, a copy of the Mercer County board goals are in your slots there on your desk that we have them. If you need to look at that anytime during a meeting, you have the new updated ones there. The draft superintendent goals 2025-26 school, you guys have for approval of my goals. Mr. Prudich sent me an updated goal list that I'm okay with, and that'll be modified at later in the meeting, I believe, correct, Mr. Prudich?
Yeah, we'll be
Gotcha.
addressing them in the meeting.
Good.
yeah.
Mike McClanahan's AD, the Valorem LLC Purpose Driven Management. We have small group sessions coming up this Wednesday, and we're divided up in 3 groups. The 8, 9, and 10 o'clock group will be at the central office. On Thursday, the 11th, have our administrators meeting at 8:30. Orange Frog training, we do have Dr. Philip Peck and Ms. Huddle here that are Orange Frog trainers. We're having that coming up next Wednesday and Thursday. They have the staff divided up, and they'll be here at the Tech Center. And also, I took part on virtually, and the best I could by also attending the Bluefield Princeton football game. But anything you guys wanted to update anybody on, the School Board Association meeting started at Friday at noon and wrapped up at about 8 o'clock that night, and then finished Saturday till about 11:30. So,
Yeah, some of us, it was like 8 till 8 or 8 till 9.
because the executive committee.
Yeah, it was a long day.
Yes.
But it was a really good training. There was a very, after hearing her, she's a quality professional in mental health, and she kept talking about trauma, and we hear a lot about trauma, but she said that her purpose was to talk to us about that behavior has a reason, that you have to try to look behind, and I think that's a lot of what we're getting at with these things. That typically when kids act out or do things in school or around others, there's a reason. It's not just because. And she talked at length about the way to approach that. That was very informative to me. And then we had a good presentation on the parentguidance.org from David Lee, and how beneficial it could be. And he was pushing it out. I know he's trained here because he mentioned Ms. Aliff specifically. And he mentioned the person that had used it here and had talked to him about it and how wonderful it was. So there's a lot of, when we met with the state Speaker of the House, I said to him, we're spending an awful lot of time doing an awful lot of things that are not education. But in order to teach, we've got to do these other things. And that they needed to help us with those things. So I'm hopeful, and I think it did get through to the people that were at that meeting, that they need to listen to us about these things that we are desperate for with help, particularly these issues. It's often said, don't talk about trauma as an excuse, and I say it's not an excuse. But if the kid's hungry and doesn't know where they're sleeping tonight, it's an awful good reason to not pay attention in class. If you want to call that an excuse, that's fine. But you go talk to that little child and tell me where their focus is. So we did get that thrown at us by someone from the State Department, and I don't think that settled well in the room. Having said that, the training was one of the better ones I've been to. What say you guys?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. To me, the highlight was also the mental health person and the things that are pertinent to today's children. It got interesting. I went to a funeral today, and I'm there with 70 and 80-year-olds, and just out of the blue, one of them was talking about kind of how we don't get together anymore. And it kind of hit home because of what we talked about up there. We don't. We have all this technology, but yet we are so isolated today. Some of these people, when they were growing up as kids, they were together all the time, either through church or family. And today, we rarely see each other unless we do, go to church or something like that, or a funeral. And so it kind of, I thought about that, the trauma piece and being isolated. Isolation for a human being is trauma in itself.
No doubt.
So, and then, you wander, and then I'm thinking about the cell phones, and I'm thinking that perhaps that's a big contributor to being isolated. And maybe when kids start interacting together again, maybe we'll know how to communicate. But that's pie in the sky, but just rambling of an old 65-year-old, not an 80-year-old, but anyway.
I'm not sure that was a shot or not there, Paul.
He was with some other people.
There you go.
Since y'all brought the topic, I assume I can ask these questions. And I thought of them at the time the lady was speaking, but some are questions and some comments. But a few years back, I don't know if time passes for me, 3 or 4 years, there was a movement in the county. Straley was huge into it in terms of trauma-informed schools. I just wondered, are we still doing that, or is that one of those things that's kind of faded away?
We're seeing head shakes.
I think it's
Which way is it shaking?
Yeah, I think that all schools are fully invested in that. We used to do trauma-informed trainings, but you don't have to do that anymore because our staff our teachers, and we have more mental health support staff in schools probably than any district per student. And now we do trauma invested, which is kind of the next level. So I think that we're operating at a very high level of
That
that.
sounds very good. So I assume another part of that was the alternative school people. I'm assuming they're really into this.
Yeah, both of our, well, we have a new teacher in one of the rooms, but we focused on, they are Mind Up certified, which is a social emotional curriculum. And Haley Hinkus is a second-year teacher there, and also the UCARU program, which is trauma invested type piece, because that's what those children need. Greg's right. I mean, it's a reason, you know, and we have to address those underlying things. So that
That's
is
really good to
huge
hear.
in all schools, but especially in early childhood.
Okay, one more comment. You mentioned the isolation thing. When she talked about the isolation and so forth, she mentioned Anxious Generation, the book that I sent y'all information.
She sure did.
But all the stuff I sent you on that was related to cell phones. At least half of that book is about this isolation thing, how kids don't play, how they don't communicate, all that stuff. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, I urge you to read Anxious Generation.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, that's why play is so important
Yeah.
in the early years. It is so very important. And and really good teachers, when you watch them, at least my observation is they're teaching and playing at the same time at the early ages. And it's really, really exciting to watch when they do that, because it's I think even in the higher grades, sometimes you can watch it and you can see that playfulness with the class, and it's exciting to watch.
And the key things there, give them recess and leave them alone. Let them do it yourself.
Exactly.
I got a wonderful education on that. I remember it, that phrase vaguely. Our teachers let us go out. We had a big old play area out in the woods, anything you want. I swear, I think they left us out there half an hour to hour sometimes. So they might have got criticized for it, but we learned lots of stuff on how to organize. and
Well,
get
Mr.
along.
Hodges, it's kind of interesting because I've told this story before. There's a lot of things I can tell you about my elementary school, but I can tell you that recess was at 10 o'clock if you're on the bottom floor and 10:15 if you're on the top floor. And you had lunch and you had recess at lunch, and then at 2 o'clock, guess what? You had recess again. And I'm, again, 65, and I can still remember being a young man looking up at that clock waiting for 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock
yeah.
or whatever.
But did
So
your
it's
teachers
definitely
come out?
important.
I don't think my teachers ever came out. They just let us go.
Oh, they had to at Matoka.
'Cause this was in the dark age. But anyhow,
Break up
okay.
some fights.
I was going to say, yeah, they definitely came out, because I remember. Yeah, because at Montcalm, they needed to come out, right? Same reason. Okay, is that all you got? Thank you, Mr. Toman. Next action item, or next item on the agenda is citizens input. We have two this evening. So we'll start with Del Lee, who is the co-president of the new Teachers Association. Since you were here not long ago, I'll remind you, you got about 3 minutes. Well,
Everybody else was five up there.
no, it says you got to sign up 5 minutes, because I'm like, no, wait a minute.
Before my time starts, though,
Get in a few words.
you're exactly right about the mental and emotional needs of these kids. And the reason that the discipline, they're acting out for a reason. And that's the message that we've been giving at the legislature for the last several years. And I always refer back to 2011, 2012, when innovation zones were an item in West Virginia.
Mhm.
And we had one in Mercer County where we put an alternative setting in a couple of elementary schools where a student could be disruptive, you could pull them out, work on their academics, work on their behavior issue and all that stuff. And what we saw was academics go up 72%, behavior improved 74%, but in our infinite wisdom in West Virginia, we quit funding innovation zones so we could have charter schools and home scholarship.
Just to jump in real quick there, my wife taught in one of those classes as an aide, and she said very clearly, it definitely works. We rarely see the child a second time.
And if you catch it in the elementary school, if you wait until they're in middle school or high school, you've lost them. And that's why we continue to advocate and push for this in the elementary setting. The kids are coming with so many more problems today than ever before. And that will lead me into where my minutes start now. And that is one of the things that at the beginning of schools I went around the state and talked about, and the need to address these mental and emotional issues of our kids. But what I came here tonight to talk about is that the last time I came, I talked about the policy of no recording. And since then, I saw a second email that went out with the policy, but it didn't change. So my remarks will be, anytime someone is facing an disciplinary action, they have the right to have their representative there, and that would be the time that you could be recording in case your representative wasn't there. So since we're not recording, then I will say to you what we've said to all of our members here, is if you're in a meeting and a disciplinary action starts, you have the right, you have every legal right to stop the meeting and say, we won't continue this until I have my representative here. And our representatives will be there and will come and be a part of that, which leads to the second part. Since we now are only allowed in school at the beginning of school, the end of school, and at lunch, if a disciplinary action is coming up, and as an educator, I'm notified during lunch that I'm called into the principal for a meeting, and my planning period comes up next, I have the right to talk to my representative before I go into that disciplinary hearing. But if my representative is not allowed there, then that alienates that right. And so it is important that we come to an understanding. We certainly don't want to disrupt any learning. We've never wanted to do that. We've never asked to do that. We understand that planning is a part of the instructional day, but how many times are our educators pulled out for different things for planning? And that's important, I'm assuming, at that time, but it's also important to have your rights upheld. Last time I was here, as I said, I was told, was I going to call my board members? And once again, I'm going to say, no, I didn't call any of the board members before I came to speak again tonight. And I won't do that. I'll come in person. And the last time I also asked that we need to get some resolve. I know it's my time's up. So I asked that we have an executive session to get some things resolved. I will ask that every time until we have that. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lee. And you know this because you speak a lot to public forums. The reason we stick strictly to the 3 minutes is because if we don't, and we give somebody else more time, then somebody else comes in and they go, well, you gave that one 4.5 minutes, I'm going to take 4.5 minutes. And then pretty soon, it's all out of control. Samantha Vaught, sports medicine.
Thank you, Mr. Doctor.
Board, please excuse me as I read from my paper so that I can correct your.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be in front of you today. I'm Dr. Samantha Vaught, a sports physical therapist and owner of Level 33 Physical Therapy. I'm here today to shine light on a serious problem and to assure you that there is a solution. One that we made it our mission to create for this community. I'm a proud product of Mercer County School Systems as an Athens Trojan and a Pikeview Panther. We intentionally chose to open our facility here in Princeton to address the elephant in the county, the sports medicine system for our student athletes, or lack thereof. Our current situation of sports medicine coverage, care, direction are decades behind. These children are being sidelined, mismanaged, or simply ignored. Up until now, we have not had the privilege of a reliable option, and it's time for that to change. Currently, our teams in our area rely on coaches, parents, volunteers, or guesswork to manage injuries, and this leads to high liability, poor recovery outcomes, increased risk for catastrophic injuries, poor performance, unsupported coaching staff, and the list goes on. We don't have a lack of talented athletes in our region, but we do lack the support, which leads to lost potential. Every delayed injury is a lost game, lost scholarship, lost future. Student athletes suffer because expert care isn't always there when they need it the most. Injuries that start small can spiral into season-ending or lifelong problems without timely intervention. The biggest issue, our county does not have a system established to support these athletes yet. We are proud to be the first sports medicine resource of our kind in this region, built by athletes for athletes. We are here to support schools, coaches, families, and student athletes to provide them with the access to a level of care that they have never had before. We believe that all athletes, not just those in larger cities or on the football team, deserve expert care, support to prevent injuries, recover fully, and reach their full potential. We built Level 33 to solve this problem, to protect athletes, support coaches, and create a reliable system to make sure no athlete falls through the cracks. It's well overdue to start this conversation, that sports medicine in our county schools and access to real medically informed oversight by professionals who know athletes and their unique needs, not just volunteers. What we need is a reliable system, more coverage, less chaos, and a new culture of care for our student athletes because they deserve it. So I will leave you with this. Just because we have always done it this way does not make it the best way. Are you willing to be the person that simply does the bare minimum for our county's student athletes? Are you willing to stand in a room full of their families and raise your hand to say that you did not find their sports health as a top priority? Or are you ready to position Mercer County as a leader in student athlete health, safety, wellness, and success through a system that builds a safer future?
You timed that pretty good.
Thank you. I tried.
I wasn't going to interrupt. I knew you were closing, so I gave you about 10 extra seconds.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
sure. Thank you for your information.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got a long list of things that we want to discuss in a work session, which includes Mr. Lee's comments, and we can add yours as well. So we'll be getting a work session time together that we can all hit, see what we can do about a variety of things that we've talked about. When you put 4 board members together in a room for 2 days straight and they have to listen to people talk, you end up coming up with things as they're talking. It's not always good, it's not always bad, it just always happens. So we have some things we'd like to probably work on. You know, work sessions are different than our business meetings. They give us a little more opportunity to talk about things. So, okay. Thank you so much. So I'll give you that since you need
Yes,
that
sir.
for your
Thank
notes.
you.
I think that takes care of that. So we're at 2322.
Mrs. Mitchell is not with us this evening, and I have Dr. Atkins. Do you want me to give the introduction about the LSIC? You got that?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Want to start with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we are going, I know that you all heard some about LSIC, and Amy Harrison is the person that takes the lead on that for us as far as the training of administrators and sharing information. So this evening, she's going to provide you all with some of the resources that we have from the WVDE about the requirements and responsibilities of the LSIC. And part of the new bill requires that board members be trained as well, which is simply watching a 10-minute video. So I think that Amy plans to share that information this evening.
We're going to do it now. It'll be in the minutes. It'll be under 23, 22. It'll all be covered, and we'll be able to document it that way. Is what we thought was best. But
Get
if you
us all
guys want to
together.
do it another way, we can do that.
No, we had to get our training on special education, and they did it at the weekend training. So we got that taken care of too. So we're going to be consistent with, well-trained and consistent with the
Ms.
statutory requirements.
Ms. Huddle and her staff participated, watched some of that also that day. So that it was on during the afternoon there that we got it. So.
And I'm not picking on State Department people, but they're presenting fairly dry information, and it's hard to make it exciting. So
But you had to log in. You would have to log in to get this with your web ID and all those things, the web top. So we thought this would be an easy way to have it taken care of.
you're fine.
Also, you have the resources that it does list at the end to give you resources regarding LSIC too. You know, back in the one time, all the schools came and reported out. Now you have a requirement of which schools do, but you guys can always request more if you chose to. So.
Not so many more hearings, it's just more information from the LSIC.
Yes, yeah, but that's
I think that's what we want.
Yeah, so that's,
That's a good idea.
I thought so. Time that we have to, might as well document, and we got it under 23, 22 when they're looking at that.
Debbie Harvey, and I'm a coordinator at the West Virginia Department of Education in the Office of Accountability. Today's training will be on the local school improvement councils, also known as LSICs. As a result of the passage of Senate Bill 172, Policy 2322 has changed regarding LSICs. For Policy 2322, this rule requires training of County Board of Education members in the development and operation of LSICs in West Virginia Public Schools. The purpose of this training is to inform principals, county boards, and others deemed appropriate of the roles and governance of LSICs. LSICs help develop and promote the schools and county's vision, encourage involvement from all stakeholders, and represent the voice of the community. Voting membership of the LSIC consists of the principal, 3 teachers who are elected by the faculty senate of the school, 2 service personnel who are elected by other service personnel at that school, 1 who may be a bus operator who transports students enrolled at the school. Other voting members are 3 parents, guardians, or custodians that have a student enrolled at that school and can be elected by other parents, guardians, or custodians in a manner determined by the principal. Parents may not be employed at that school in any capacity. The 3 at-large members are appointed by the principal. At least 1 must reside in the school's attendance area and 1 who represents business or industry. The at-large members are not eligible for membership under any of the elected classes of members. For CTE schools and comprehensive middle and high schools, 4 additional members are appointed by the principal or CTE director. For students in grade 7 or higher, the student body president can be a member or another student in grade 7 or higher elected by the student body in those grades. Parents, guardians, or custodians, teachers, and service personnel each serve a term of 2 years. All other members serve a 1-year term. Elections for parents, guardians, or custodians, as well as teachers, shall be arranged so that no more than 2 are elected each year. Elections for service personnel shall be arranged so that no more than 1 is elected each year. Reasons for replacing a council member include resignation, absence from 3 consecutive meetings, changes in personal circumstances, or death. Filling a vacancy depends on whether the position is elected or appointed. For an elected position, the chair of the council will appoint a qualified individual to serve the remaining term. In the case of a vacancy for an appointed council member, the principal will appoint a replacement as soon as possible. After the election of council members, and no later than October 1st, the principal shall convene an organizational meeting of the LSIC. At this meeting, the LSIC elects from its membership a chair and 2 members to assist the chair in setting agendas for each meeting. The chair shall serve a 1-year term. If the chair's position becomes vacant for any reason, the principal shall call a meeting to elect another qualified person to serve the unexpired term. Once elected, the chair is responsible for notifying each member in writing 5 business days in advance of any LSIC meeting. The principal shall not serve as the LSIC chair. General operational procedures involve the county superintendent monitoring principals to ensure all LSIC meetings occur as outlined in Policy 2322. All meetings must be open and announced to the public in compliance with the provisions of the Open Governmental Proceedings Act. LSICs shall ensure that minutes are taken at every meeting and made available to the public on the school's website and upon written request made to the school's principal or council chair. Each LSIC may adopt a set of bylaws that are consistent with state and local policy and West Virginia code. The West Virginia Department of Education provides resources and technical support to help conduct effective LSIC meetings. The council is required to hold specific meetings. The election meeting and the organizational meeting are necessary for establishing the LSIC. Additionally, the council meets every 9 weeks for equivalent grading period. Both the stakeholder meeting and the county board meeting with the LSIC of low-performing schools qualify as required meetings within the 9-week time frame. Resources to assist with all meetings are available on the West Virginia Department of Education website. Principals must organize the election of members to the LSIC before September 15th. A meeting notice shall be given at least 1 week in advance. During this meeting, parents, guardians, or custodians of students enrolled at that school will be nominated and elected by their peers. Parents, guardians, or custodians elected to the LSIC cannot be employed at that school in any capacity. The organizational meeting will be held after the election of council members and must take place no later than October 1st of each year. The principal is responsible for notifying each member through written or electronic means at least 5 days in advance of the meeting. An agenda will be provided to all members prior to the meeting. During the organizational meeting, the council will elect a chairperson from its membership, along with 2 additional members to assist the chair in setting the agenda and taking minutes for each meeting. Additionally, the principal will ensure that all members complete the LSIC training, show members where to locate the LSIC resources, and provide each member with Policy 2322 and the relevant West Virginia code. The LSIC will hold at least 1 stakeholder meeting each year, announcing it at least 10 business days in advance. The purpose of this meeting is to facilitate a positive and interactive dialogue among all stakeholders regarding the school's academic performance. We recommend scheduling this meeting in October utilizing the West Virginia Balanced Scorecard data. During the meeting, stakeholders will have the opportunity to provide specific suggestions on addressing issues that may impact the school's academic performance. These issues include parent and community involvement, the learning environment, student engagement, attendance, behavior, support for at-risk students, curricular offerings, resources, and the capacity for school improvement. The LSIC will ensure that a report detailing concerns, suggestions, and points raised during the meeting is produced and made available on both the school and county websites. This report should also be submitted to the Office of Accountability at the West Virginia Department of Education, preferably before the start of the next school year. Resources to assist with the completion of this report can be found on the West Virginia Department of Education website. County Board of Education members are required to meet at least once a year with the LSIC of each school identified as low performing under the West Virginia Accountability System. This applies specifically to comprehensive support and improvement schools. The principal and the LSIC chair should be prepared to discuss topics that the county board requests outlined in the meeting agenda. This meeting also provides an opportunity for the county board to offer suggestions for addressing issues that may impact the school's academic performance. Following each school year, the County Board of Education members must report the details of their meeting with the LSICs to the West Virginia Department of Education, with a deadline for submission no later than September 1st. Other LSIC activities include proposing alternatives and promoting innovation. The council can request a waiver of rules and policies of county and state boards. The LSIC can also receive School of Excellence and competitive grant awards. County superintendents are responsible for ensuring that principals and members of the County Board of Education complete the required training.
Bingo.
Principals must ensure that all members of the LSIC also complete this training. Once all trainings have been completed, the superintendent will verify completion for the entire county on WEVIS. Therefore, principals must inform the superintendent when all LSIC members have completed their training. Guidance on how to verify the training can be found on the West Virginia Department of Education website. You can visit the West Virginia Department of Education website for LSIC resources and guidance. For additional information, questions, or concerns, feel free to contact me by phone or email. I appreciate your participation in this training and wish you all a successful and safe school year.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Harrison.
Okay, everybody get out paper and pencil. and get past.
Take the quiz.
I'm a big kid.
All right. As a- Go ahead.
Anything else? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And Amy's going to also, we have our first admin meeting this Thursday, so we want to be sharing that with all principals and central office level admin. And of course, the principals received that in August and probably have already ahead of us, but we're going to do that so that we can assure the training. I did give you all a couple of additional handouts. The first one that I will talk about is just our PD schedule. I had mentioned before that we're doing a little bit less this year because we have 78% of our eligible teachers and staff signed up for the LETRS training, which is a science of reading training. That's part of the Third Grade Success Act and being funded by the WVDE. We do have the highest percentage in the state of participating staff. Amber Rife is also working with the newly hired teachers to see if we can get all of our new hires into cohort 3. That will start after this cohort. What I provided you is our professional development just for this fall. August, of course, is already passed. Tomorrow we have our first Title I Tuesday, so the only in-person PD we'll provide will be those Title I Tuesdays monthly. So that way the teachers can focus on their LETRS training that's self-guided, self-paced from home, and they can do it what's comfortable for them. But we are doing AI instructional practices tomorrow. Be right here if any of you all would like to attend. It's 3:30 to 5:30 with Heather Farley and Kayla Harden. And Kayla sent me, she's going to do a lot of really interesting things. I heard Mrs. Souter talk about Magic School, but tomorrow they are going to go over different topics about AI, generative and AI adaptive applications. They have Microsoft Copilot, which is free with our platform, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Apple AI. They're also going to be sharing Notebook LM, Magic School AI, which is what Mrs. Souter was talking about, and School AI and Canva AI. So a lot of really, really good things, and Kayla and Heather are excited about those things. And Kayla actually went with Mr. Toman to somewhere in California, and they learned about AI and some of the things that we've done. You can see that this year we do have a middle school as a Title I school again, and we have talked about that. So they will have the Title I Tuesday opportunities as well. So, but they're going to actually have those at Bluefield Middle School because that is our Title I school, and they have an academic coach there. It's Tia Griffey, and they're going to do things similar to ours unless they have a different need, and we'll talk about that. But they're doing the AI tomorrow, but Josette Cooper will be there to provide that. And each month when they offer something for middle school, they're going to invite the middle school teachers from Glenwood to attend if they choose to, because it's also a Title I school. In October, we have, for our Title I Tuesday, we have more training with our math, and when we talk about the GSA scores in a little bit more detail just in a moment, it will justify why we're doing that. It's the unpacking the lesson PD, and I know that some of you all have heard that there's requests for that and bringing in trainers again from the company. Very expensive endeavor, so we're trying to do it in the most efficient and affordable way possible. And then we're going to provide the middle school aspect as well in October. And then in November, back to grade level PLCs. That's 1 hour of PD and 1 hour of collaboration, and again focusing on math. And we have our numeracy leaders with Emily Smith, Kim Yaya, Shelley Weiss, and Katie Carter that have done incredible trainings over the last 2 years, including mathematical mindsets, the building thinking classrooms, and now the new Ready Math curriculum. And then they're going to do the same thing at Bluefield Middle. So just wanted to share what we do have scheduled. And then you can see this is something that our MCL group came up with, that for Reimagine days or days that we have opportunities to do additional training, especially with service personnel that we can't bring in after school, we have some self-guided PD using the Ready, Read, Write West Virginia resources. And it's something that we've done before, but just exposes them to some really good science of reading, professional development, and has a lot of good video examples and different things, because we're trying to train our assistant teachers and support them along with their classroom teacher in a better way this year. We did that on August 18th. It was very successful. I was at Straley, and we had third grade, and it was a really, really good opportunity for the teachers, and they're the first time they've ever had an assistant, so that was even a more interesting situation, and get them to interact together. It was a really good day, and we're going to do more of that. The October, I think it's on the chart there as well, the October Faculty Senate afternoon. We're going to do the same thing. Get them all together, I think probably in the same locations. So any questions about those PD, you're welcome to attend any of them. And then I will give you, the spring's not finalized, so we just kind of did get the fall, and then we don't do anything in December because there's too many band performances and choir concerts and family things. It's hard to get people out on that. If you look at this chart, it's our GSA data comparisons, and of course this is grades 3 through 8 and 11. So it's GSA and the SAT for grade 11. And this is just an ongoing chart. I think you received it the first time last year, and so I just added another column. And we'll just quickly go down through there. You can see that at the top, and we go back to the first test that we had after COVID, and in that amount of time for the ELA side, you can see that we have grown as a district 7.9%, with never having a year that we had a dip. Last year for math, we have grown 7.6% in that length of time, but last year we did have a dip of 0.9% on the GSA, and we had a new curriculum, but I still think we would have had strong growth. But we had a couple of places that you'll be able to see that caused some issues there, and again went back to teacher certification, and we have a plan for that. I won't go through each little number there, but you can see the difference between us and the state level. I think it's important for us to not focus on the percentage as much as how are we performing in comparison to the state, because this is our state, our test, and how is our district performing on that same test with their peers. So you can see that we are a little bit farther away than the state average than we were last year, but I do think that we'll be able to close that gap. For ELA and math, we did fall a few spots in our placement, but in science, we grew 6 places, so we're now 20th in the state in science, where 2 years ago we were 41st. So, you know, we do have a huge STEM focus as a district, and we do a lot with that, and you can see that that is paying off. Year over year, we had a growth in ELA of 1.8%. We had a dip again in math at 0.9%. But our growth in science was 2.7% on the GSA year over year, and science is measured in 5th and 8th grades. So that was something that we are proud of, and we did have a dip of 2 spots on School Digger. On any questions about the first page?
We don't care about School Digger. It's just
It's a thing.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. It doesn't, when you value, I'm sorry, but I'm getting on my soapbox.
That's
When
okay.
you value whether a school is good or not based on a one test score, it's essentially what School Digger does.
Right.
They have no clue about what public school's about or what education's about. None. 0.
And for that,
I know that tests are how we're evaluating.
that's how we're measured, yeah.
But I want them to go out into our community and see all these fine people. How many people from here are from Mercer County? Show me. I'll go to Mercer County Public Schools pretty much. Ta-da. Enough said. Go ahead.
And for that reason, I did not include the School Digger measurement for each school this year, only the county placement.
And also, we have niche.
It's fine. It's fine.
We have U.S. News and niche data also, so all 3 that we keep up there on the data wall.
But
so
just something to kind of keep track of. On the second page, you can see is ELA, and again, this is the 3rd year, so we have a 3rd column, so you can see, you know, many schools have grown, you know, year over year, 3 years in a row, which is wonderful. If it is green, it is a school that grew, that had a positive. If it is not a color, they fell, but they're still far above the state average. If you look at the state average at the top, the state grew 2.5% in ELA. Mercer County grew 1.8% in ELA, both very good numbers. But then, of course, our first school fell 4.5%, which is Athens, but they're still 20 points above state. So I could not bring it to myself to put a red on that, even though we put red if they fall. I didn't think that was fair because they're still 20 points above the state. We do have a few schools there that you can see, and we group them by feeder schools. So the first one would be your Pikeview feeders. In the middle, we have Princeton, and then Montcalm, and then your Bluefield at the bottom. So we group them so that you could see the elementary schools that feed into the middle, that feed into the high schools, and where you've had growth or not. In the ELA, we have 4 areas there that 4 schools that did not have growth, so you can see that. Something that we are doing, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But then for the next page on math, same thing, that the state grew equivalent amount in math, 2.5%, but we had the dip in the 0.9. We noticed in lots and lots of schools, we had several schools that had over 60% of their kids that were yellow on the GSA, and when the principals broke it down and teachers, they were 1 or 2 questions away. And that's common in the first year adoption of a new curriculum. So we really expect to see strong growth. And you know, we started Mathematical Mindsets 2 years ago probably. We're ahead of the game, I think, on this style of instruction. And so we really think that we'll see that. Most grew. We do have some areas of concern with the red. And you know, something that we're doing for the schools that have had that type of a drop, particularly if it was 2 years in a row, is we're going to do some individual support plans. I hate to call it that, but just something to put on paper beyond their strategic plan. How can we, as a central office, provide better support for them? It's very proactive. It is very supportive and positive, nothing punitive about it. The principals are aware of that, and we're going to create something formal, that could be additional instructional supervisor support. It could include an additional professional development opportunities and different things to help those schools get the help that they need and the growth that they want. And for so many of them, it was just situations where we had non-certified teachers that, not always, but it over and over, one thing we do find with our achievement data is there's nothing more important than the value of a certified classroom teacher, and we see that over and over again. But the principals are very committed to working toward that growth. But we're proud of our overall growth, and we do expect to make up for the math and then some this year. We really do.
Board member, questions? Just one further note, if you look at U.S. News and some of those others that evaluate schools, they do have a broader assessment of school success. Do you know what they never mention? CTE.
That's true.
It's not rated by them.
Because we would knock that out of the park, right, Daniel?
The reality of it is
Yeah, Daniel's like it.
the next group of millionaires in our society are going to be plumbers, electricians, and contractors.
That's the truth.
Because that's desperately needed, and you've had the need for one lately,
I think CBS, I may be mistaken in that work, but weekend before last, they did a whole segment on the next millionaires. I don't know if you watched the same.
See that one? I read an article.
Yeah, well, and they talked about the immunity, because, there's a fear of AI replacing jobs. And they pointed out CTE jobs, AI is not going to go in underneath your porch or your house and repair plumbing or fix your air conditioning unit.
Well, and robots are great, but somebody's got to fix them too.
Exactly, but it was very interesting, and they said basically the same thing. The next group of millionaires will be these type of people in service sectors, and then who also graduate and move on to starting their own small business and things like that.
So that's why we do it very well, but we need to continue to do it, tooting the horn about the things that we do, the opportunities that our students have to do pretty much anything they want to do. And it's reflected in what we're seeing. What was it, 3,200 credit hours, 3,100 credit hours, college credit hours?
They also...
The number stuck, it's 3,100 or 3,200. So that's unbelievable. Right, that was a semester. Right, that's a semester. That's
They had students there, and I know we've had a push from my time frame till now about females and how they've made great gains in education. But they were pointing out that a lot of your male students who enjoy, I'm not saying that males are the only ones, but they probably enjoy a lot of hands-on more sometimes than the majority of females. And they were talking about the very thing we've talked about. Mr. Bailey mentions it often, where if traditional school, you've talked about it, is not your thing, then there's still plenty of things you can do in this world with your hands if you learn the trade and the basics. So they had some boys there, young men working on cars in this particular article, and they were grinning from ear to ear because they enjoyed it, and they said they could see themselves doing this kind of activity the rest of their life. So pretty neat.
We need teachers, but we need plumbers.
As for the millionaires, this one that just had a whole house air conditioning installed. Amen.
You can vouch for
I
that.
contributed.
And
Did their first million.
any others to report on 23-22?
We-
Ms. Wellman,
We have
Go
to
ahead.
come back to one
Go ahead.
after that.
Putnam?
Senate Bill 199.
Okay. You doing that one now?
Yeah.
I actually have that one
Later.
for work session. I'd like to do a deep dive on that.
We've got a pretty good checklist that we wanted to share, but we're going to do it with the principals Thursday too. Do you want to wait and do that?
Whatever you guys want to do.
Just share it with you then. Doesn't matter, whatever
Yeah, we
you
can
want.
wait.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's the very first thing I have on my list of work session is Senate Bill 199.
That's it.
That's it.
I think everybody's good.
Okay. then we'll get into the business
23-22 was
part
hit
of our,
hard, didn't it? Good.
okay, we keep after it.
You guys got it too at the meeting too with
We
the
did
school
too.
board and
We did. That's-
relations and superintendent and all that
That's
stuff.
where it
I
all
saw
came
those.
out, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, next action item on the agenda is the approval of minutes for August 25th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions, comments, or discussion? Then on the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Under the consent agenda, make sure I got my list right here. Okay. So board member number 79 is non-resident student transfers to Mercer County. We have 4 students that want to enter Mercer County from Summers, Tazewell, and McDowell County. Superintendent recommends approval. Is there a motion to approve? Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
no.
consent agenda. Never mind. Get in that routine. Board member number 80 is bid number 959, vending of snacks and drinks renewal 1. Renewal 1 pricing for bid number 959 was requested from Quick Cafe and Mountain Vending. All commissions remained the same. An addendum was added where they agreed to remove any products that violate the prohibition against certain dyes under House Bill 2354. Superintendent recommends approval of bid 959, renewal 1 to Mountain Vending and Quick Cafe for the 25-26 school year. Board amendment number 81 is renewal of the college contract for services for clinical experience. We do this routinely where we have agreements with colleges and universities that they need to sign relating to the placement of student observers in Mercer County schools during the 25-26 school year. All teaching placements are pending the receipt of a candidate's background check and a site supervisor being named by the college. This one relates to WVU, School of Medicine, Department of Communication Sciences and Disorders. Superintendent recommends approval. Board amendment number 82 is the placement of a student from WVU. They're requesting that we place a student to complete 4 to 5 hours per week in speech pathology under the supervision of Lindsay Schaefer through teletherapy for course 612 Clinic 2. The course runs through December 12, 2025. As always, placements are contingent on the appropriate forms being completed, receipt of an acceptable background check, and the university naming a site supervisor. The superintendent recommends approval. Board amendment number 83 is a request for approval for guest speaker Emily Calandrella. I'm slaughtering that. Calandrelli, okay.
I don't know.
Using Gear Up
That sounds good.
Southern West Virginia funds in compliance with school policy. Gear Up is seeking approval to invite this nice lady as a guest speaker for Mercer County Public Schools on November the 4th of 2025. She's a well-known science communicator, author, and host of Emily's Wonder Lab on Netflix. It's an engaging presentation and inspires students. The cost is $25,000, which is fully funded through Gear Up Southern West Virginia. Superintendent recommends approval. Board memo number 84 is a placement change from a student from Liberty University. They're requesting an individual placement from Spanisburg Elementary to Lashmeek-Matoka School for the 200-hour internship in school administration during the fall 2025 semester. Placements are contingent on the appropriate forms, acceptable background check, and a site supervisor being named. Superintendent recommends approval. Board memo number 85 is the, is the placement, a request from the University of Cumberland requesting placement of a student to complete 20 hours of classroom observations for EDU 235, basic concepts concerning education. They'll be placed at Montcalm High School, and the placement's always contingent upon appropriate forms, background check, and site supervisor being named. Superintendent recommends approval. Concord University, this is board amendment number 86. They are requesting placement of a student to complete hours of clinical experience for initial licensure through the fall of 25 season. Placement will run through December 5, 25. Placements are contingent upon the appropriate forms, acceptable background check, and site supervisor. Superintendent recommends approval. Board memo number 87 is Concord's annual request for honor scholars for Concord University. This is for the fall of 25. We place students in Mercer County schools to complete their community service hours, which are they're required to complete an average of 8 to 10 hours per week per student. We have 4 placed in various schools in our county. Superintendent recommends approval. Board memo number 88, and I hear some cheering out there somewhere, In accordance with West Virginia Code 23.3C, the Director of our Information Technologies requested a license renewal pricing from IXL Learning under a cooperative contract. The renewal cost is $86,381.25, and the renewal period is August 29.25 to August 29.26. IXL is used in grades K through 12, primarily in math and English language arts, as a learning tool to help achieve proficiency goals. This targeted license renewal approach has resulted in over $100,000 in savings. Superintendent recommends approval of a one-year renewal of IXL Learning for $86,381.25. This funding is provided by a 21st Century Technology grant. Board memo number 89 is student placement from Concord University. They're requesting placement contingent upon the completion of forms, background check, and university naming site supervisor, and this is at Melrose Elementary and Bluefield Middle. Superintendent recommends approval. As we've heard in the past, Pikeview needs some new HVAC units. So our maintenance director on board memo number 90 is requesting authorization to purchase 5 HVAC units for the high school from Ferguson utilizing a cooperative contract. Total cost is $86,252.88, and they will be installed by our maintenance department. Superintendent recommends approval of the purchase of the 5 units from Ferguson. Excess levy funds are utilized for this purchase. The last action item on the consent agenda is board memo number 91, which is the payment of invoices for the month of September. The checks have been written, are being held pending consideration by the school board, and they will be issued upon vendors upon the school board approval. You have the list of those in your packet. And that's the end of the consent agenda.
Move that be approved.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Are there questions, comments, or discussion? There appearing to be none. On the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. The next action item on the agenda is the superintendent's goals for 25-26. The board passed around emails strictly related to the goals. We didn't discuss them or talk about whether we were going to vote for them, yes or no. We just passed them around. I put them all together in a format that we're trying to do that's new, based on the guidance we're getting from various people that talk to us about things in sessions. And we think it's actually a pretty good setup. It gives deadlines, it gives metrics, so the superintendent can look at the metrics and he knows exactly what is expected instead of more vague or broader goals. They're more specific. I'd note the first one, which is increasing our growth, was something that we did with Dr. Akers for a decade or longer. And obviously, it's a goal. It's not a.
And you had those in mind also,
Yes.
for 2.5 or 2%.
We have.
Yes.
We have. So those things are just they're there to and improving attendance was one that we put in there that we thought was appropriate.
Communication and then also the finance quarterly that way. I think it was 5 of them, correct? Or 4?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What was one
6.
of them missing?
There's 6. Let's see. We talked about increasing them. Strategic plan, which Ernie was talking about this evening.
Yeah.
And then personnel, essentially, keeping us advised, which has to do with the thing that we're hearing, the mantra over and over again: oversight, oversight, oversight. There's how many? You tell me 7 schools currently, 7 school systems currently under management by the State Department because of things like lack of communication or a failure to do this or a failure to do that. Some of it is very serious. Some of it seems less appropriate for intervention, but they did anyway. So we're just trying to tighten things up. I think you said earlier you're good with them.
I'm good with them.
All right.
That's what we do.
I have
Comments? Go
one
ahead.
question about it.
Go ahead.
The very end of it, these are supposed to be the superintendent's goals, right?
Right.
Where we talk about what we're gonna do after it's done, and how we're gonna reach a conclusion, how we're gonna write an evaluation. Those are things fine to do with, but should that be listed as one of his goals?
Well, if you look at the
What we're gonna do?
policy, yeah, they probably should be in there. What we're going to do after the goals are assessed, the way you read the policy, the State Department's policy, it actually anticipates you setting the process in there. So even though they're not goals, it just sets forth the process. It's what we've done every year forever. But again, just trying to make it clear and tighten it up so anybody looks at it, they can go, you following the policy.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and State Board Policy 5309 has that criteria on there, Mr. Hodges, that you guys go over that with me. You come up with a statement to come out in the public to do that, but I think that's,
It's not, I've just been picky, but it's not worded like you would say it. It's worded like we would say. Is it not?
I
And
don't know.
it's his goals, it ought to be worded
Like what his part of
what
it would
he's gonna
be.
do.
Well,
We can
that's
adjust
in-
that and look at it. I don't
how
have a
he
problem.
meets his goals is in his discretion. That's
No,
like
I'm not
looking at,
talk- I'm not
that's like
talking
when,
about that part. That part's I'm okay with.
okay.
Let me read a little bit so you know what we're talking about here. At the end of the prescribed period, the 5 members of the board will, in executive session, consider the superintendent's performance and his progress and results in meeting the goals using the district approved evaluation. Now, that was up there before, that we would create that evaluation.
Right.
At the conclusion of the board's deliberation, while still in the executive session, we will address this and come up with a thing we're gonna say.
Right.
And we're gonna publish it and so
Right.
forth.
That's all in the policy.
Okay.
That's all in State Board Policy, the requirement there, I believe.
So
is
the
what you
State
got
Board-
off of, right?
Right. That's pretty much where I got it from.
Yeah.
Again,
Still don't sound like his goals, but I'll go along with it.
it's not part of his goals. It's what
Hey, He
happens.
could say, I don't object to this happening.
It's
If
what
we-
happens in
if we-
determining whether he
if-
met his goals or not.
If we objected, then we'd have to get this West Virginia Association of School Administrators together, the West Virginia School Board Association, then come up with a plan to
Let's do
get
that.
those together. Yeah, I am good. But there's a whole action thing if you don't agree, and I am good with what
Okay.
you all submitted to me today.
I like to think of it as like, you know what your goal is, it's just which way you're pointing the ship. So it gives you direction in the end, if you follow what I'm trying to say, of where you're gonna wind up.
Yeah. I'm saying,
And those,
who's pulling the ship? Who's
and the
pulling
goals
the
that
ship?
you guys approve here soon will then be spread out across our staff to continue that way with the 2 assistant superintendents along with all the other departments. So we'll carry out with that way. It's very good.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Hodges, for your request.
Then on the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. No, we don't have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Paul, I'm kerfuffled here, buddy.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Now, on the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That motion carries 5 in favor, none opposed. All right. Board Amendment number 93 is our needs project, which we've already voted was McTech Phase 1, but we wanted to come back and figure out the county's contribution. Superintendent's recommending that the county contribute $4 million to the project, bringing the total amount from the school boarding authority to $11,403,032 or 33. I'm not sure which. Superintendent recommends approval. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Questions, comments, or discussion? Then on the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. That
That's
motion
submitted
carries.
next Friday, is that right? This Friday, the 17th? 12th, I got you, very good. Didn't have my calendar, I was just brainstorming.
5 in favor, none opposed. Like our project.
There we go. Happy anniversary.
Day before my birthday. I wish it was on my birthday. All right, board member number 94 is discussion and/or action regarding the purchasing policy. As we discussed at the last board meeting during discussion, there have been comments or discussions about changing the amount of authority without board action. It's currently $25,000, is that right? And we started, when we changed it, it was 10, is that correct? All right. there any desire by the board to change, alter, increase, or reduce that amount?
What's the treasurer say?
Well, that's probably,
Yeah, and
I mean, I do think with recent funding stressors that it is not a bad, I mean, we seem to be okay for this year, but the future doesn't necessarily look bright. So, I do think we need to start taking a more active role in, which is nothing against Leslie at all. I mean, we totally trust her, but just us taking an active role to be able to answer for our judgment on spending.
I think the question also was mentioned too about the memos, and putting those together are a time-consuming issue. So just want to share that with you too, that that was a concern, and
I was going to make
I'll
note.
speak up about that.
I was
but,
going to make note of the
you know,
email.
how many action items you guys going to have after that? That puts the agenda, a lot of things there. And again, I watched, you know, I am the CEO, the superintendent, so to bring those to you, that accountability there, I just want to state that that was said to you by Howard Sufer's office, all those things. But that's, again, up to you. But I know Leslie's office has mentioned that, and Mr. Atkins had his hand up.
Sure, I raised my hand. And in maintenance, $10,000 doesn't go far. And I'd hate for students or schools to be without something, heat, cooling, whatever it would be, for a couple weeks for us to have another meeting. I can't give a specific example, but anytime I replace a large circulating pump, like on a cooling tower, it's well over $10,000.
Well, and I acknowledge that in practice, what's happened in the past is in situations where it needed to be done, it was done in an emergency situation, and then we approved it the next meeting. So the emergency thing we can deal with. So
Well, it also doesn't have to be either 10,000 or 25,000. It
could be somewhere in between.
It could be somewhere in between also.
So,
Could we condense it so that it's more like, and I know I mentioned this already, the personnel agenda, that we want to make, instead of having to type a wordy email or a board memo, that we say, this is what we need to purchase, it's a bid or it's a co-op, and we give you facts that are not quite so wordy.
You mean like one report instead of individual reports?
Yes, more like a consent agenda for purchasing items that you could include.
Probably not a bad
I think that's
the,
a good idea.
the only thing that we would need to do is if there were things that became questions, which happens from time to time.
Absolutely.
We would be pulling them out. The other thing that this board needs to be aware of, and this is in discussions with Mr. Toman and Leslie, and that is because of the addition, we eliminate a position, and now we've got the addition of billing the homeschool and the private school people for their services when they use them here. If we reduce this significantly, it's probably going to require us to at least do a part-time hire. So you got to be aware of that too. You need to know everything going in.
And then when you look at the enrollment projected, it could be anywhere from, you see those numbers on there. That's a tough time when we meet with Dr. Philip Peck and our administrators of what we're looking at.
I'm just going to say $3 million. We're going to lose $3 million. That's what we're going to lose.
And
We just need to plan. We just need to plan for losing $3 million.
That's part of the issue to, I understand all sides of it, but it's also part of the issue, the responsibility for money is,
Tighter
I'm saying we're not
oversight,
being
right.
responsible, but to take a closer look, just like our transportation situation we had earlier this year where there's questions raised and it was able to be
Yes,
trimmed
yes.
substantially.
Good point.
So sometimes those things are important, but I don't know I think I agree with Mr. Atkins, $10,000 doesn't go anywhere now. So I definitely don't think it should be at that point if we do want to look at it, but I don't see a problem. I just want, is there a possibility of doing like Leslie said, and maybe between certain amount up to 25,000, and then maybe over 25,000, we continue the way we're doing it, and then up to 25,000, then do a tier there where we can have it on a form. And I definitely like knowing what it's for. I still, when I look at these and I see something and all it is repeated, I never have like that. You all know I don't like that. In my checkbook, I need to write down what it's for to remind me. I know you know, but that's a,
Where the
something
funding
different.
comes from, and it's just like what Brent did with the IXL, and what he did with the transportation. Every one of these things, I mean, not every one, but we questioned. And there's others that we're spending money for, that if we question, you know, we're throwing so many resources at the teachers that gives them the ability to improve what they're doing with their kids, but there's only so many hours in the day, and oh, by the way, you've still got the state curriculum that you've got to be teaching, in addition to this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So I would feel better if we had some kind of, not a rubrics, but some kind of a thing that we can look at, and like to know how it's being funded. Because every time I see a big one and it says funded by the levy, I get nervous. I mean, that money's only going to go so far. And now we already know we're going to be $3 million less from the state next year, but give or take, because of head count. We know that. So, you know, when it comes time for Crystal to look into her magic ball, you know, her crystal ball and the crystal ball, how about that? To come up with a way, you know, with the teachers we're gonna have to take care of the kids. I just think it's fiscally responsible. And like Greg said earlier, we sat in this meeting this weekend in Charleston, and you heard them talk about I thought there was 9 schools, but it's only 7 that have been taken over. Oh, well, there's some that are, you know, that are.
Financial issues.
Well, there's the straight out takeover where they're running the county, which is like 5, I think. And then you have several where they've intervened on a specific issue. And inevitably, it's something that's happened. They're telling us it's the board every time. The board. So they're looking at us and going, oversight. And so that's why this is here, because we're getting pounded. And that's what they want us to do. And Mercer County, to my knowledge, has never engaged in any kind of intervention and for any reason, and we're not going to start now.
Don't want to be on my watch.
Well, again, I like the idea of maybe having a shortened path to look at those things up to $25,000. I don't know.
Well, you don't want to do from 0 to 25,000.
No,
That
that's
would,
what I'm
we
saying.
couldn't do that.
Well, I
You
said a
would,
tier.
we wouldn't want to read that.
I said a tier.
I think
Yeah.
15,
A tier for whatever. Right.
15 seems reasonable.
And I tell you the one thing that I like to look at too, and I don't think we always get, well, I know, is I really think utilization is important. So when we're making these decisions on the software, there's a difference in putting an air conditioning in or heating unit. You know you need that. But some of these softwares and things are, I mean, pricey, and I'm thinking, are we really using them? So I think utilization is important when we make decisions.
So,
with IT and
And back to
software.
Mr. Atkins' point, I mean, we certainly don't want any school
No,
students or teachers to
absolutely
go
not.
without anything. So, I mean, I don't think any of us are gonna have any issue with
If you
Mr.
have to have
Toman
emergency
approving
purchases,
something and
have
coming
that.
back at retroactively.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you have to
Well,
keep kids in the cold because we have to approve it, do what needs to be done.
Even if it's still at that level, the important thing is that we follow policy 8200. So regardless of whether you have oversight or not, we still have to do our part here.
the bidding
That is
and
our job, is to make sure that we have these certain things met. And again, we can't use sole source now, so that has added a lot of work. McTech has struggled this year because they've never had to get curriculum approved before because it was sole source, but we still have to bid it. So there's layers of difficulty that's been
When I hear
added.
this, I'm wondering, why did we cut that position then?
yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, I
Leslie
mean,
doesn't realize she
if
has.
we've got that much
Oh,
more
I'm
work.
sorry.
Tom was your mic holder. He was your mic holder from behind.
That's why everybody was laughing. I thought I was
Yeah,
being,
we were-
I'm like,
we
I'm
were
really
laughing.
not funny.
We were laughing because he was holding
I'm
it around.
serious. I'm a little bit panicked
get
here.
More focused
I
and he
get
was
that.
reaching
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
This is coming from us.
I'm
though.
looking for Melinda. She's already, she's not allowed to leave because she's picked up a lot over the past couple of weeks. A lot of people have. Marcia, Dina, I mean, they really have. And I told Mr. Toman, fiscally, we don't want to riff and transfer anyone. I completely understand that. We'd rather do that through attrition, but our jobs don't go away. We still have, the more half-time people or itinerant people, the more work it is on the business office to have to pay them, to have to track their mileage and pay them that. So we save money in one place, but then it is, and I know Ms. Huddle has had the same thing, it costs a lot more when we do this because there's more administrative work. So I told him we would look and see what we can do. I understand that. We don't want to cut anyone's jobs. But I can tell you right now, at central office, they're administratively, everyone is working very hard, as efficiently as we can right now.
So we haven't started billing yet for the classes?
No, there's going to have to be.
240-ish students?
I believe. My understanding was about 200 in dual credit, and then
40, did you tell us here?
That's a lot of work. No.
So about 240.
So I started looking at software to invoice, but we also have financial close, and we also have a million other things that are going on.
So do you have enough staff to be able to handle that? Just be honest.
Not right now, to be honest. No, not to pick up billing. I will have to research it, or someone who understands accounting enough will have to research the software and set up the time to do that.
So we may
learn.
need to look at a new position.
We may. We also have to have a form developed. So,
Right,
we
have a
have.
whole system, yeah.
Yes, we have to get the names of those students to us so that we can invoice. So there's some legwork that has to be done. So realistically, it will be.
And even though it's 200 students for dual credit, if each one of those kids is taking multiple classes, it's not 200, it could be 600.
It could be. It could be.
Lots. Yep.
It could be lots. Okay.
Does do you have any resource within your statewide organization that you might be able to share this with, or put out an inquiry to see what others are doing now, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel?
A lot of counties are still not billing yet because they're in the same situation we are.
This
We have
is
year-end close and.
a new baby, so we're gonna have to figure out how to diaper it.
That's it.
Basically. I mean, it's so oh my gosh.
Harrison County's been doing it the longest, and they use
They
QuickBooks.
use
So
QuickBooks.
they use QuickBooks. It's basically just another accounting software that,
Well, maybe somebody from Intuit would feel to come out.
we actually did. Chris Constantino used to work there, and he has volunteered to help us connect. And Jenny Collis and I talked about that as well, that's our goal, is that we could somehow partner with them. So, it's an expenditure, but we hope to build a relationship at that point as well.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I mean, I think the plan, we talked about moving to 15, but doing more of a one form as opposed to individual memos to eliminate less work. I would personally be comfortable with that.
Is that a motion?
Yes,
Is
it's a
there
motion.
Is there a second?
Stating exactly what we're gonna do.
We would lower the threshold for approval to 15,000, but between 15 and 25, we wouldn't have individual memos. We would just have some type of list or grid format.
Like we do with the
Like a personnel
purchasing.
agenda or a
I like
purchasing.
that idea.
To where
I'll
we
sec-
would see individual items, but they wouldn't have to prepare a whole memo for each
Is
item.
there a second to
I
that?
assume
Yeah.
they're gonna be heard to
I'll
do
second.
that.
Greg, I'd like to
Well, we've
second
been
that
talking
motion.
about it for a while.
Yeah,
I
but you
second
think
that.
that somewhere along the
There's a
line
second,
we'll have
okay.
something written out.
Moving
Go
on.
ahead. I know.
There's a motion.
Well, I guess he's wanting to see what
And a
the
second.
preference is. I don't know.
Yeah, but we're not just seeing what preferences are, we're voting tonight, and that is unusual, right?
What do you mean?
It doesn't say anywhere on this memo. what
It's because the
policy's gonna
superintendent's
be.
not making a recommendation.
The memos are from him to make a recommendation, I guess, right?
I assume we'll start to change the policy, because that's in policy before. So my understanding is you're making a recommendation that we change the policy before.
That's right. Right.
So we're only voting to recommend?
No, we're voting to
Right.
do
Voting
it.
to
This is
change.
an
Actually
action.
change it.
What's it? Okay. All right, go ahead. You have to admit, this is unusual. I can't recall having this
We
type
get
of thing
stuff
where
all
we
the-
discuss and vote the same night. Look at everything else we got on there. It tells what's
Did you
gonna
know
happen.
anything about IXL renewal until this evening?
At least it tells us something about it.
But
We've
we get
discussed
stuff-
IXL many times before, have we not?
We've discussed this policy before too.
Okay.
We know what the policy is. It's just a question of your philosophy. Do you want to do it or not? I mean, truthfully, that's what it boils down to.
But we didn't know the policy because she just made that motion. Isn't that right?
You guys know what we were talking about?
Policy was,
Well, why are we voting if we already have it?
because we're changing
We're
it.
changing it.
Right. So we didn't really know because you're changing it. So now we know the new policy.
Well, what point would you want to know about it?
Never mind.
I don't know, I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying. So you're saying you think we should discuss it tonight and vote on it later?
That would be normal procedure. I'm willing to go ahead and vote for your motion. I'm just talking about our procedure. I'm just trying to get somebody to admit this is not normal procedure. Normal procedure, we have a thing written out.
I
Well, I
agree.
think it's
Vote on
different
what's
because
written out.
most things, like Greg said, are being proposed by the superintendent, and that's what's on the agenda. And this is coming more
From
from
the
the
board.
board, which is not, and we don't write the agenda.
Okay.
Does that make
Whatever.
sense?
No. The president does do the agenda.
Right.
We check that, so that's.
Right. And we discussed it, we
Okay.
actually did discuss this at the last board
We
meeting,
did,
toward the end,
yeah.
that this was coming and that's what we would be discussing. So this isn't the
I won't
first,
say anything more.
this isn't the first time
You
we
can
talked
say whatever
about
you
it.
wanna say.
Sure, you have the right to say whatever you choose.
Oh,
All right, so there's a proper motion and a second.
Was there a second?
Yeah.
Mark.
Mark,
Okay.
any discussion? Then on the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. The motion carries 5 in favor and none opposed. Last action item on the agenda is the board memo number 95, which is personnel, and I will be stepping out of the room. My daughter is on that agenda.
Okay. Okay, so board memo number 95 is personnel. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or
Yeah.
discussion?
I thought there was of course it's me, Crystal. There was a conversation at the meeting on Saturday that was discussed, and the gist of it was that when someone retires, they can't come back until after 60 days.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah. Okay. There is well, it'll be 60 days from June when school was out,
July 1st,
July 1st.
if their effective
You
date
beat
of their
about 15
retirement was
days,
then.
didn't you?
Pardon?
There's one on here you beat by starting her effective September 15th. You beat about 15 days.
I don't know what you're talking
Well,
about.
there's a lady that retired,
Yes,
and we're hiring her back.
yes,
And it's 75 days
yes.
since retire, so that's.
So we did good.
That was my question. Okay.
So Crystal followed the rules.
Yes, and we tell employees, like, if they do something like this, make sure you're checking with the retirement board to make sure this is not gonna negatively impact you in any way, and that you are following all the guidelines. I mean, we know that she is, but for the employee's sake, we want to make sure that they feel comfortable moving forward with their employment with us.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that passes 4-0 and 1 not voting. Thank you for keeping me on track.
Thank you.
All right, that's the last action item on the agenda. Mr. Timon?
You have discussion items, I believe, is that not?
LSIC wish list. That was one of the things we talked about when we were up there, is in the past, when we met with all the LSICs, which we do not want to go back to, but
Not?
do not want to go back to seeing all of them. No, that was a lot. But we always got a wish list from each school telling us what their needs were from their perspective. We don't get that anymore because we don't have those meetings. So I think the board would like to see what those wish lists are, just so we have an idea what it is. I mean, as is usually the case, we can't get to 1/10 of them, but at least it gives the board itself some idea of what people are concerned with out there and what they need. So if we can find a way to, when they're having their meetings for the LSIC. Yes, ma'am.
After you emailed me, I started thinking about a way we could do that. I could easily create a form on Microsoft that goes out to the principals, but then they, because they're in the LSIC meeting,
Right.
and they could fill that out. It would come back into us as the school name, their wish list, that would be an Excel sheet that could go through all once we have them all.
That'd be awesome, because it's just for information purposes, that's all.
Well, it's something that occurred to me is, sometime in the future, maybe a proper presentation of those for discussion would be a work session.
Right.
Where we can maybe prioritize things inside the county. Because those are important. I know one of them that we had at Pike a few years ago was probably was a walkway between Pikeview and the middle school, because, I mean, that's a safety issue, and that was
Connection,
something
right.
that I think we finally got it done. But that was something that was really kind of, to me, was a critical need. You didn't want those kids either walking in that swamp, and you didn't want them walking in the bus loop where the traffic's at. So I think, sometimes those things that we're not aware of and maybe we don't think about are pretty important. So I think that'd be a good place to do it.
Okay. Amber, you have a good idea, so that'd be perfect. One of the other things we talked about was having quarterly work sessions where we do a deep dive on finances and maintenance and personnel. So we're not at the end of the year having all this information thrown at us, but as we go through the quarters, we can kind of say, okay, this is where we stand, this is what we need, this is where we are, this is our finances. Dr. Atkins has already told me we're 5 positions, 5 are gone, right? So he's already started on reducing our staff, which we don't have any option. I mean, it's the problem with losing that many students. So we've got to start that process, and it helps keep us up, again, under this mantra that we're being pounded on oversight. So when I asked Leslie what she thought about it, she said, fine, but can we put it off? Because
Don't make
she's
it
in
anytime
the
soon.
middle of the mess, and I
Yeah.
suggested maybe around the end of the first semester so we can get them started, but gives everybody time to see what's coming and prepare, just so they have an idea. And we can get more specific as we get closer. So we have an idea what it is we're talking about, because the things that everybody gets in trouble for in these takeovers is finances and personnel. That's the main two over the years. That's the main two. And then behind those two is where are you spending the money? Are you focusing, as we were discussing before the meeting, one county got in trouble because they absolutely refused to close a tiny school. Just refused. And we're not doing it. And the State Department said, well, you're $3 million deficit. You have to. And those are decisions we have to make if we have to make them. So those are why we need a deeper dive in those things. The business meetings that we have are good, but the great deal of it is information at the front end and business at the back end. It's hard to do the things we do in work sessions, which I think most of the board members would say the work sessions, we seem to get through a lot of good stuff when we do work sessions, because they're just discussions, and it helps us a lot. So that's possibility of coming down the road. And then, of course, we had the conversation with the financial secretaries. All right. So inform the board what our options are to increase the financial secretary's pay. Please.
Dr. Philippek might need to join me on this, but we did research this before staffing last year with the board attorney. And the issue is, there is not a financial secretary classification. And the law is clear, you cannot pay one classification more than another person in that same classification. So we have financial secretaries, we call them that because those are really the duties that are assigned to them. but they're a secretary/accountant like every other secretary/accountant. So we do not have the option legally to do that unless we would RIF everyone that currently has that position and then make everyone reapply.
Which I do not recommend.
Did you say that louder? Were you agreed? Okay. I agree with her on that as well. That would be a tremendous amount of work.
Just to be more informed, how would that work? I mean, I understand the reposting, but what benefit would it provide to the financial secretary?
If we did try to put like a stipend or an increment, not a stipend, an increment on that position.
Like a county-funded portion.
Yes, a county-funded portion, every person would need the ability to apply for that, whether they have that position now or not. We cannot just give that pay raise to someone.
Without making it available to everyone.
To everyone, exactly.
Right.
Our other option is with the raise, because we would have to give everyone that opportunity to bid on that higher paying job.
Which, I mean, that makes sense.
It is the law, and he's very, very clear on that. The other, what he said is, the way you do that is through extending the contract terms.
And who is he?
Our attorney, Jason Long.
Okay.
Most of the school law issues, we go to him.
Okay.
And personnel or finance, that's a legal issue.
Okay.
So really, Dr. Philippek, those were the two options that he gave us. We extend contracts and
Longer days.
number of days, and there's options with that, but we would need to do that during staffing season, during RIF and transfers.
And that would apply to everyone also, and some may want that and some may not, correct?
Well, not necessarily. We have adjusted, maybe Dr. Philippek can speak to that better.
So anything over a 200-day contract with service employees, we can increase their amount of contract days through a mutual agreement. However, if we decide that this is where we're going to go and we have some that says, I don't want to do that, then we have the opportunity, we can put them on transfer or reduction in force depending on their seniority date, and then re-advertise a position.
But we would need to be consistent on days for that type of position, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But if someone was in it, didn't want to increase their number of days, they could move to a different position and hire somebody new for that one.
Yes, we would have to put them on transfer, if that's,
So
what we
could you
want
have a
uniformly
category
to
for
happen.
high school, middle school, all 4 different divisions from primaries all the way up through high school? Or would they all have to be the same if you're going to extend the number of days? Meaning 260, 261, whatever they are for high school, and a 2 whatever for middle school or primary K through 6, K through 5?
That's typically how we do it. We actually internally talked about potentially doing this to marry the number of days with an assistant principal, for example, so that they would come back about the same time. It's just tossing ideas out that are legally.
Financial secretaries?
I'm sorry?
Are elementaries classified as financial secretaries?
They're classified as both. Most of them do. But understand, we have everything from a school that has 80
Right.
to, schools that have hundreds and hundreds. So, and most of them do have 2 secretaries at the smaller elementaries. But right now, we have a couple of elementaries that have assistant principals, but primarily middle and high school.
Could I ask something just off on the left lane a little bit? I know with our custodians, and I can't remember the particulars of it, but I know that during the winter season, for example, they have extra duties with that. Theirs can be given hours to do building checks and things like that. Is that, first of all, is that only with your head custodian? Is that part of the head custodian's job to either accept or turn down? Because that's extra pay at that position. So if that's the case, then could you, but it obviously it involves more time. And let's say during football season, and you've got financial secretaries that have to count enormous amounts of money, they're obviously going to be spending more time. So is there a way to look at during certain seasons, particularly basketball and football, where you could do an extra duty contract for the person that's doing the finances on the extra time they're going to be spending, like we have with our custodians during the winter season. Just
So typically with custodians, we look at the most senior,
right.
and, that may not be the case with our secretaries. You may have a financial secretary that has less seniority than the regular secretary that's there. So in my mind, I think theoretically, yes, you could do something like that. But I think it would be problematic if you got into situations where you didn't have the most senior person as your financial secretary.
Excuse me?
So they're not counting money anymore either, right?
Yeah, we've got the GoFan.
Well, that shows my ignorance, but
Which is.
they still have to reconcile the books for it, and it takes time. Not only that, but your financial secretaries also have to do, and it may be just, you may consider it part of the job, but I don't. If you go to a school that, runs, say, deep in the football playoffs, that financial secretary is doing anywhere from 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks extra work, which is extra time that the other secretaries are not doing at the other schools. But I know you couldn't really look at it like that, but there's obviously, to me, and that's part of the problem I have with the way we do it, in that the workload doesn't fit the hours that these people are putting in. And it hadn't. I even remember years ago, again, I've done it a long time, we paid the financial secretary a stipend to come in and reconcile the books for, like if I was the tournament director, I would get paid through the process of the tickets and all that amount of money. So as tournament director, I would also pay the financial secretary. They made me quit doing that, even though they were clearly doing probably 2 or 3 hours of extra work. So I understand the need, and I really wish we could find a way to do it. And I was just throwing that out, since they are doing extra work, a way to help these people financially. I'm going to tell you, quite honestly, and maybe I shouldn't do this, they're working more hours than, in my opinion, they're getting paid, honestly. And that may be a sour thing to say, but in my heart, I know it's true.
Service personnel laws are very difficult, and under Fair Labor Standard Act for LEAs, we are held to different rules as to exempt and non-exempt payments. That's the federal law, and then our compliance with that at the state level. I certainly appreciate all they do. I do understand that there's an extra level of stress that doesn't stop at night. They do POs a lot of time on weekends, and they shouldn't be. I know that. Most principals adjust hours. They do. Most of them adjust their schedules a little bit because sports start, and after July 1st, lots of different projects and programs start. We try to cover that at central office as much as we can. We do POs for principals all summer long.
Yep.
But
we try to plan ahead, try to get the summer stuff done. I know that, but
we do
also know things happen.
We do. We understand that as well, and it's a difficult decision. I understand that, but there are also repercussions in other areas as well. They don't give us an index for school size. That's how we pay the principals and assistant principals, is based upon the school size. But service personnel are not included in that.
Perhaps we can relay the options to the financial secretaries, ask them what they think.
I have relayed it to some, very, and I know during the last meeting, I know she said that, she doesn't want the additional days, but I have to follow the law. I have no choice with that.
We're going to follow the law, whatever it is. But we also need to make sure that our legislators are very clear
Absolutely.
on the issue that we're facing here, and
Agreed, especially since we teach accounting in high school. I've been a big proponent of this. I'm an accountant, so I think that you should know accounting. We've struggled with this. It is very different, understanding that this is a checkbook, but it's got all these accounts in it, and, we're coming up with kids now who've graduated that have never written a check, don't understand it. So having some accounting would absolutely help, 100%.
Okay, so why don't we get the financial secretaries as a group
Okay.
and just say, currently, these are our only legal options. Here's what we can do. What say you,
Okay.
And we can't do it, and we can't make individual decisions. It has to be a
It
group
can't be piecemeal.
decision.
It's gotta be one way or the other for everybody.
And they need to know the option, if they choose not to, what happens at that point.
And we can't do it until next year.
We cannot do it till next year. Absolutely.
So it gives time for us to
Yes.
lobby our delegates and our senators to tell them, this is a fairly significant issue that needs to be changed. This is statewide. This isn't just here. This is everywhere. Okay, thank you. So, while we were sitting here, it's funny what happened. This is not on the agenda, and if I take a beating over it, I'm just gonna take a beating over it, okay? So, for the past 10 years, the West Virginia School Service Personnel Association has requested a proclamation to honor service personnel from the governor of the state of West Virginia. It's usually the third Thursday of September. It has not been, no proclamation has been issued. However, we think that we should continue, I'm reading this, by the way, that date is not going to change regardless of proclamation. So, while technically we can't take action on it, I'm going to read this to everybody, and it's going to be on the next agenda to approve, but I think the board will acknowledge, we'll all acknowledge what we always do, which is we agree. Whereas school service personnel, I don't even have my mic on, jeez. Whereas school service personnel are involved in nearly every aspect of education by maintaining buildings and grounds, preparing and serving meals, keeping school facilities clean and orderly, and assisting in the classroom, as well as providing administrative support functions, safe transportation, and many other specialized services. And whereas school service personnel are instrumental in West Virginia's responsibility to educate all students, and whereas these educated individuals serve the children of West Virginia in our public education system and have an important role of non-instructional service to the educational system. And whereas it is fitting we recognize these outstanding work of these individuals to do the outstanding work these individuals do for this state, their communities, and the students in West Virginia schools. Now therefore be it resolved that we proclaim September 18th, 2025 as West Virginia School Service Personnel Day. It's on our calendar that way. I don't remember a time when we haven't approved this. It will be on the next agenda to officially approve, but am I fair to say that this board unofficially approves this agenda, or this resolution, I guess would be the right word? Proclamation, yeah. I thought so. Go figure, that's all I can say. Administrative updates.
Any other administrative updates? I know, I'm going to just speak for Mrs. Huddle. She did a on-site the other day, correct? I'll put you on the spot on that.
Looking for the mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, so I did on-site monitoring for Lincoln County schools, and so it allowed me the opportunity to go into several different schools in their county, and I came back with, I think Mercer County Schools is doing a great job with everything that we do. We're very fortunate with all the resources that we do have here. And then I'll just finish up. So we've talked about spending money. I've received the following grants: a guidepost to graduation grant for $19,000, a pre-K grant for $3,600, and then an assistive tech grant, which I wrote for an egress door because that's an expensive need that we have for the county, and so that was at $6,800. And that egress door will be
That's
from
great.
Mountain Valley.
Thank you for your
That's
hard
great,
work.
yeah.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Anybody else? I'll just put it out there if anybody wants.
I'm just going to take 1 second and just say we did have Roane County Schools visit our elementary alt ed program, Take Two Academy at Mountain Valley today. So the word is getting out across the state. It was recommended to them that the quality of the program, that they're getting ready to start one, they would see a good one. And so very proud of Mrs. Gwil, Ms. Hinkes, and the work they're doing there. And we want to be a leader in the state in that area, and I think we are, and we will have the best one in the state. But just proud to host them today.
Wonderful.
And President Prudich is also on the committee that's selected by the state board, correct? That state board with you and Dan Metz and all gathering.
Oh, you're talking about the training?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, with the
Putting
training
that together.
committee.
So that
Yeah.
was on an email that
We're on the
no one announced that here yet, correct?
The state, basically, we have to approve training for board members. And it's me and Mr. Metz oh gosh.
A couple state board members and all appointed by the state board,
Right,
correct? By the state
and it
superintendent.
does give us an opportunity to meet with somebody from the Senate and somebody from the House. No, he's not on it. So it does give us that opportunity, and we use it when we can. So unfortunately, the meetings are virtual, and you really can't do the schmoozing you'd like to do when you're virtual as opposed to in person. Okay. Anything else to come before the board this evening?
No, we adjourn.
Is there any objection? We're adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Good night.